All right, it's 3 o'clock. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Inclus Academy webinar. This time we have a very pragmatic topic. We are going through 10 typical challenges in facilitating digital risk management processes, and I'm joined here today with my lovely colleagues Jannika and Roope. Sorry, let's move on to the next slide. So we're here we have Jannika and Roope introduced, and yeah, just a couple of practicalities about the webinar. We only have half an hour, so let's dive straight into this. But we will be recording this, and you can have the recording afterwards. And if you have any questions, comments, anything, just feel free to share them in the chat or in the Q&A section, so feel free to participate in that way. But yeah, I think we are ready to move straight into the topic at hand. So I think Roope, was you who were supposed to start. So go ahead, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ilmeli. Nice to meet you, everyone. I'm Roope Olli, one of the customer success managers at Inclus, and as you can maybe see, today's topic in our short webinar is Mastering Risk Workshop Facilitation with Inclus. And today we, together with Jannika, we will share some tricks or good practices how to make. Ilko, can you continue actually sharing the screen still? Is it possible? Ilmeli, could you kindly continue sharing the screen there?
Yeah, I think I'm screening my screen, but can you just steal it from me?
Yeah, of course I can. Yeah. So
feel free.
I have the PowerPoint here, but yeah, anyway, topic is that we will share you some tricks how risk management workshop can be facilitated more efficiently, for example. And in general, we have kind of like two themes here. I will first tell you some tricks about how we can collect more and more data with better quality efficiently, and then Jannika will later on tell you about how this data can be then processed in a short period of time, and we will share some tips there in our tool how this can be done. And I'm assuming that you are able to see my screen now. So yes. I will start now with the first theme and introduce you some tips how we can ensure that we collect data in Inclus in the risk workshop that gives us enough information for high quality risk management. So when it comes to risk workshops and risk identifying, one common problem we often face is that discussions are staying at too high level. One reason for this might be that we are not having enough data about the risk that is described. And if we lead participants or even force participants to fill up more data about the risk that they are identifying or raising up by asking right questions, we might get more comprehensive answers and therefore more information for understanding the risk better. Often there are maybe a field for adding the description for the risk, but if we would add so-called additional data fields and maybe add some additional questions that participants need to fill up, then we are able to gather more information, and this can be then used as a basis of discussions on the later steps when we actually go through the risks. And now I will show you in a tool how we can, for example, do this and what I mean in practice. So if you start from the risk view here before we actually go to the assessment form itself, for each of the risk, we have so-called additional data fields. And you can edit these from here. We have the button, edit custom data fields. And in here, you can pretty much ask whatever you want. We have multiple possibilities. You can add a single line text, multi-line text, even do multiple choices, etc. And now I have created a couple of extra questions that we can ask from the person who is identifying risks before or during the risk workshop. So here we can, for example, ask what can cause the realization of this risk. We can ask, has similar risk realized for us earlier? Please explain. And then I also have an example question here, what controls or mitigation actions are already in place? And of course, the most important thing is that you ask questions that are relevant to you and to your organizations. And these kind of questions can then structure a little bit the participant to answer, because often they are taking or going there what is the easiest way and maybe are not filling too much information. These kind of questions can make the answering then more structured and give more information. You can also force them to answer when they are identifying new risks. If you, here on the settings, you enable this field, that the field will be required, then it's mandatory to fill up something here. You can also turn on the AI autofill, but I will quickly show you what it means in practice. How does all these look on the form? So now when we go to identification form, example, let's say that we have here a risk already, but now I want to, as a participant, add a new risk. I add a new risk success system, and now as a participant, I need to fill up all the information here regarding these risks. In a basic case, if we would use just kind of like a template or empty template for this form, it would maybe only ask the description of the risk. But now I have some other fields here as well that I want to be filled up. So now as a user, I would need to write here down what can cause the realization of this risk and answer to all the other questions. And this will give us good information then to the background. And yeah, one other thing that is quite interesting here, what we can see, is that we can also, on the additional data fields, we can, for example, use the AI here to add some content to it. So if I take as an example, take this one out here, go to some existing risk that we have data already. So if we don't know about, for example, or we are too lazy to write about what can cause the realization of this risk, we can use AI to generate this data there. Of course, it's good that we have some information here on the project already, and we need to clearly describe to the AI in the main page of landing page of Inclus under settings what is the basic meaning of this project. But when we have everything described, we can describe then and ask AI about some ideas what can cause the realization of this risk. And then based on its knowledge, it will tell us something. Of course, it's always better that if we are using the real data, but sometimes these kind of AI-generated fields can give us more information about what we can, for example, write here. And there might be even very relevant topics to us as well. Yeah, then another thing that relates to discussion, staying on too high level in a discussion, is ownership of the risk and mitigation actions ownership, and especially when these are remaining unclear. We have noticed that even though adding owners to the risk and task is a very crucial part of risk management, it is quite a common thing to skip this step on many organizations. But in Inclus, adding owners itself is very easy. So it can be done, for example, in this way, that we could open the item itself here, and this requires Inclus access. So if you are a process owner or something, then you most likely have the access there. And here under the plus icon, you can add the risk owner. You can add as many email addresses there as you want. But also another way how to do this is that if you are not willing for some reason, or in addition, you want to add some part of organization to be the risk owner, you can, again, by using custom data fields, create, for example, custom data field, like in here we have responsible unit, and then we can select that to which unit this risk actually belongs to. Of course, we always prefer that you would be using exact email address, because then you can actually send to these people notification about that they have been added as a risk owners, etc. But if there is one unit that's responsible about this risk or risk area, you can also add that and use the filtering then on later steps, for example, in the future assessment forms or in the result pages. Another way how you can also add the risk ownership, it's maybe better in these cases where the risk ownership is unclear. So if we go to the assessment form, during the workshop, we can ask, for example, if we take this risk as an example, we can add here under the criteria during the assessment, when people are assessing the risk, we can, for example, ask a question, who should be responsible about this risk? And then when all the participants are giving their opinion here, that, okay, maybe this belongs to this person. So in doing the facilitation, then it's very easy to see that, okay, this person has been successful, or this team has been successful many times. So maybe we should consider giving the ownership on this risk to this specific person. And at least what I've been witnessing in the workshops often is that these kind of discussions may take a lot of time if there are no clear ownership. So it's very good practice to ask opinion from everyone, and then maybe democratically, for example, who gets the most votes, or who gives the best success about the owner, then the ownership will be given to them. So at least then we can make forward ourselves. When it comes to tasks, it's also very easy to success the task. So we can either success task here under the assessment. We can give the success then for the task here, or if we want to add a task straight away, we can open again the task under here on the sidebar and add new task here, or use the AI for that as well. And same thing as for owner, we are able to create here the custom data fields if we want to assign it to the certain part of organization, or if we want to give the task ownership to specific email, that's the most preferable way. You can do it here from the plus. And the other good thing, very important thing, is to schedule task, put the deadline there and starting date, because based on the scheduling, there are automatic reminders sent from the Inclus system. And this will, using this kind of scheduling in a task management, will make automatically already your risk management process more continuously, as it then sends the reminders to the task owners and keeps track that if they are actually doing anything from the task or not. There, sometimes the outputs fail to influence real decisions because risks are not attached to the organization's daily businesses, strategy, or other concrete entities. In Inclus, we can nowadays pair risks, again, by using additional data fields or tags, for example, with organization strategy objectives. So meaning that if we, for example, have an organization, we have let's say that we have 4 strategy objectives that we are following, and we would like to know how our risks are related to them. We can use again the custom data fields and AI. So for example, if we have here now an item data privacy violations, we can edit the risk here again. And here we have additional data fields relates to strategic goal. In this example, I have created 4 example strategic goals. First one is accelerating profitable international growth, sustainable as a competitive advantage. Then we have a strengthening customer experience and digital forerunners, for example, like this. And then as a last item, I have none of above. So if we have a risk that relates to some strategic goal, we can pair that risk to those goals. If we don't know what the goal is, or if we are lazy, for example, or we want to save time, we can ask AI about it. So let's see what AI says now about it. Now we will assign it to some categories, and then we can decide if we agree with AI or not. But usually they are quite good. Also, we can do the same kind of linking, for example, to ISO standard. So if your organization is doing, let's say, ISO 27001 certification, you need to list certain risks there. Then you can ask, for example, if this risk is related to this standard. And as we can see, it seems to be linked to that one. Then one more thing about how we can link the risk with practical life is adding a cost of the risk. And of course, this works best when we have a risk, first of all, that can be measured money-wise. And this is maybe relevant approach, for example, in the project management world. For example, if we have some specific risk where it is easy to calculate the cost of the risk. We can do this in a couple of ways in Inclus. One way is that we add our own criteria of the cost for the cost of the risk. Then we can, in the different forms, we can either have selection there, or we can even have that we will just write the price of the risk here, whatever it is. And then on the background, under the criterias or criterion formulas, we can then calculate, for example, that we want that cost is actually the cost of the risk times risk likelihood, for example. So if risk likelihood would be, for example, 4 likely, we would want to treat it as a 50%. We would then calculate that, okay, estimated cost of this risk would be 7,500 euros, for example. And then we could calculate estimation of, based on this evaluation, what would be our project's all the risk costs. This can be also done in different ways. So if we don't want to ask cost separately, we can do it in a way that we link impact, for example, to the certain numbers. We can decide that, okay, if risk impact is minimal, it means that risk cost is, for example, under 10,000 euros. And if it's high, it means that it's more than 100,000 euros, whatever. And we can then again do the calculation then based on these numbers on the background without confusing the respondents. But yeah, next I will hand over to Jannika, who will continue telling about how our collected data can be handled efficiently in the workshop before the time runs out.
Yes, thank you, Roope, and hi everyone. Happy to have you here. I'll go ahead and share my screen. So just a moment. I hope you're seeing my screen now. So yeah, as Roope mentioned, I'll be going through how to use Inclus in your workshop and how to handle the collected data. So we want to make sure that time doesn't run out before a mitigation is addressed. So I'm going to talk a bit about how to structure the workshop when you have a certain amount of risks and still limited amount of time to make sure that you don't miss anything critical. So one of the first things you need to do when preparing for a workshop is to decide if you want the participants to do any kind of pre-work, meaning then either filling in the identification form and or both the assessment form beforehand, or if you want to go through the risks and assess them together during the workshop. There is a benefit of having everyone do some sort of pre-work beforehand, because then it gives everyone a say. So it's not only the more vocal persons who get to assess the risk, but everyone has a chance to, in their own time, go through the risks and assess them, and also add some qualitative comments to the risks. And that way we'll also have more information when going into the workshop, and that also can save us some time. And when it comes to time, we recommend that you reserve at least 2 hours for the workshop. Often 3 hours, even 4 can be good, but it's depending on the amount of risks that you have and also how many participants you have in the workshop. But let's move into looking at this visualization page. So the reporting page is here in the tool, and this is most likely what you'll be like showing during the workshop as well. So you'll start by preparing a reporting page for you. You can create several ones for different purposes. You can also choose if you want to leave out certain categories or certain risks from the workshop, if not everything is relevant, at least during that round. And then you here choose what kind of results views you want to show. So we have many different result views, so you just pick and choose the one that will work for your needs. And I have prepared like an example reporting page here, so we'll take a look at this. So here you can see a risk score heat map, and in this example you'll see that there's a lot of risks here. So if this would be the case for you as well, there is most likely you wouldn't have time to go through all these risks in a workshop. So I'll show you how to filter risks and which risks it's good to like start going through. So we recommend that you start by focusing on the top risks, the risks with highest deviance, and then also risks that are like significantly increasing. So when you are in here in Inclus, you'll have this right side bar here, and you'll click on this analysis tab to be able to select the top risks. So you can choose how many you want to have highlighted. So I'll choose here that I want to see the 5 top risks, and they'll be visible here. And then you'll just basically start going through them one by one by clicking on each risk. And here when you click on it, you'll see these small squares, and these are actually then the individual answers. So you'll see here how they differ. And then again here on the right side, you'll see all the information about the risk. And here you'll also have the option to click here on this edit function. And this is basically what Roope already showed you. So you can use AI to edit some information, or then if there's something like during your discussions you want to change or add, or for example, type in some discussion notes, you could do it here at the same time. Also, you could tag a risk if you have prepared some tags beforehand, and then also add a risk owner at this point if you haven't yet. And then what you'll also have visible here are the tasks that previously have been assigned to a certain risk. So you'll see who the risk owner is, so you can see if that's still relevant and the person is still working in that role, and also what the status of the current task is. And also, if you need to add any new task, you can do it here in the same view. And you'll also be able to edit the risk scores here. So if you want to do it together during the workshop, you'll be able to edit them here. So going through the risk one by one, you can edit all the information. And next, I'll show you how to get the risks with most deviance. So I'll choose the 6 risks that have the biggest like variance in answers. So if I click on one of them here, you can see that the individual answers are very spread out. So of course, in this case, it's good to have a discussion and understand why we see the risk so differently. So we definitely recommend that you go through these risks. And again, you can make edits here on the right side if there's something you want to change. What you also can do, I'll go back here to this view, you can take a look at risks by category, or for example, if you had prepared tags before and you had tagged some risks, so you could, for example, look at the risks that has impacts on strategic objectives and then go through them. And then to make sure that any important risks aren't missed, it's good to take a look at the change over time. So here you can see that we are comparing the current assessment with a previous assessment. And you'll see here that some risks are going up. So it's important to focus on the ones that are significantly increasing. And another way to find risks that might not be in the assessment yet is to take a look at the open comments. So if you have assigned pre-work for the participants and they've filled in the assessment form and you've given them the option to actually comment on the risks, you'll see the comments here. So this is actually like a place where some of the newer risks might come up. So if you don't want to go through all the comments here, you can you can create an AI summary per risk. But if you don't have time for that, you can create an AI summary for all the comments at the same time. And it's thinking here, and then it will give us some action points and further assessments and such. So you can go through these points here and see if there's something that we want to add as a risk. And in case there is, you can just go here in this view and click add new risk. And then you again see the same view here where you can use AI to fill in or to help you fill in information so that you save time on that as well. And then you'll be able to add risk owners, task owners, and also be able to score the risk there. So it's immediately added to the assessment. And I'll scroll a bit down here. It's a bit to scroll. But one more thing that's also good to take a look at is the task coverage. So here, for example, can see that we have a lot of risks that don't have any tasks. So it's good also if there's time remaining after you have gone through all the most critical risks to take a look at risks that don't have any tasks, because the tasks are still what makes the risk more, it creates the action that actually makes it accountable, and there's someone seeing to it that there's something done to the risk. So this is something that's good to take a look at, that every risk would have at least one task and a task owner, so someone's accountable for that. I see our time is running out here, but then when you've done all this, it's of course good to plan the next steps and let everyone know the timetable, how often are you gonna assess risk? Is it once a year, twice a year? And then also if there are any risks you want to link with strategy and your strategy work, so make some kind of plan for that. And then, as mentioned many times, it's good to have the risk and task owners for accountability. But these are the tips we had for you this time. I don't think we have any time for questions at the moment, and I'll give over to Irkku for the final words. Thank you.
Okay, for some reason we cannot hear Irkku right now. I can say maybe one word here in between. So if you are our customer already and you are interested to hear about more of these tips and you have maybe some practical case in your mind, feel free to contact us always, and your CSM will then guide you forward with some good tricks if we have anything to share with you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Jannika, and thanks, Roope. Hopefully you can hear me now. You had some glitch with my computer. Yeah, good stuff. And we will, as said in the beginning, we will be recording this whole webinar, and we are also thinking of splitting it up into smaller pieces, and we will make those pieces available to you as well, because we are thinking that it might be good for you to to be able to digest these things bit by bit. And speaking of bite-sized things, below the QR code here in on the first line, you can download our a summary of our pretty recent ERM ebook. It's a 2-page summary basically of the ebook, which is pretty long, and you can also obviously download that too through our website, but we just made it complementary to the audience of today. And then a little piece of advertisement. Our next webinar will be taking place on February the 26th. We will be talking with Charlie Salonius-Pasternak from the Nordic West office about scenario planning, and I think that should be pretty interesting to many of you. And then we will also be organizing a breakfast seminar in Helsinki, and that's going to be in, well, right, like said, in Helsinki and in Finnish. So apologies for foreign friends this time, but in any case, there's also a QR code for those of you who are based in Finland and want to participate. So very warm welcome to you. But we're 2 minutes past our time now. So again, thanks everyone for joining, and thanks Jannika and Roope, and we will be following up with the recording.